Okay, I think it's now recording. All right, so let's start. Let's continue. All right, so like you mentioned, we also have political and legal forces, and we were on even the fact that social cultural forces, the environment that yeah, you cannot practice bribe and all that. Okay, yes, and that is their culture. There are some too you can go scot free as a business in engaging in certain practices that are not good. Okay, then we have legal, political, and legal forces as well. Okay, when different political regimes take office, it comes to come with different, governmental policies and all that. Some even come to change the legal landscape. Okay, bring in certain laws that affect the business in the long run. So it can be laws in terms of the hiring or the wages. Some will come and will say that okay, the minimum wage of employees should be this. Imagine a government comes now and raise the minimum wage, which is now about 14 point something cedis a day. You raise it to say 50 Ghana cedis a day. You can imagine companies will be affected. It means that now at least for every employer a day, you should earn at least the minimum, barest minimum 50 cedis. So you can now calculate if an employee should, you see that they should. So these things affect when they bring these policies, it goes to affect the businesses. Okay, economic factors too within the environment, the general environment. We also have economic conditions or factors like government fiscal policies that they bring. Okay, factors like inflation, the interest rate, economic growth, unemployment rate, all these affect businesses. For example, in interest rate, it will inform how much an organization can borrow because it is about the cost of borrowing. That is interest rate. So if the interest rate is high, then they cannot what? They cannot go to the banks or borrow more to expand their businesses. If interest rate is low, like we find today, they say they get we have single digit inflation, we have that. Although they are complaining that it's not reflecting in the market and all that. Yes, but some businesses are excelling because exchange rate is low. These are economic factors or forces. Exchange rate is low, so if you are dealing internationally, you are good to go, right? You just need some small, a few Ghana cedis to buy a dollar, unlike before. Technological forces too. Okay, as technology evolves, then businesses must also be able to adapt to it. Technology brings new processes, new products. As it advances, there are new ways of doing things, innovative, creative ways. So you need to adapt. Today, if you're a bank and you don't have automated teller machine, ATM, then I mean, you go to banks like ABSA and Co. You don't even need to walk into the banking premise to make a deposit. You can just go to the ATM and make your deposit very smooth. Okay, if you want to take money, same. So you can operate with such a bank, and yes, you'll be dealing with a bank without even entering the banking hall and even getting close to the bank. Sometimes the ATM self are in town at some vantage point, and that is technology, and they are adapting. International forces. We also have other general forces. Another general forces, or the fifth one we will look at today, is international forces. Today, we are in a global world, a global village. There's competition. Business have increased in opportunities. So businesses do not stay in one country. We see businesses crossing borders. Once you cross border to other countries, right? And that is what these are forces that are moving people to get closer to their consumers. So if they find that they are consumers in some parts of the country, they get closer to them. Toyota, which is in Japan, now has a lot of what do you call it, assembly plants and all that in Africa and some part of Africa, South Africa and co. Why do they do that? They want to get closer to Africans. Of course, the model of the car supports the weather of Africa and all that, and they get close to them. Nissan, okay, and other companies. Unilever is a multinational company. See, it operates in over 100 plus countries, and to get close to its customers. Okay, yeah. So all these are from forces that push will affect the organizations. Businesses are buying internationally, right? They are not just. I mean, they are buying, or even some are even going to outsourcing what they do to other parties who are in other people or partners who are in other countries. Okay, and this is another force. So we have looked at five forces. We have looked at five forces under this. So we looked at general environment of business and we look at five forces. Quickly, what are they? What are these five forces? What are these five forces? Lucas, mention, tell us one. Today I'll mention names. Caroline. Today I want new people. New people today.
Technology, technological forces.
Okay, Pascaline.
International forces.
International forces. Rebecca.
Social cultural forces.
Socio-cultural forces. Lucas.
Economic forces.
Economic forces. Okay. Then who else? Who else is giving us the last one? Caroline.
Political legal forces.
Political legal forces. Raphael.
Yes, you said it.
Okay. All right, that's fine. Okay, thank you. So that is it. And I believe you know the explanations of it, right? You can explain them. So read what is there, my explanation that I did. You realize that when I was explaining, Alima,
Sir, please, it is not Alima. I'm using the person phone to join. That's the person name.
so what is your name?
Zamatu Abdullah.
Why aren't you using your listening today? Anyways, move on. What is the issue? What is your
Please,
issue?
I want you to explain the international force more for me. I don't understand that one, please.
Okay, all right, good. So we are saying that we are in a global village now, okay? We are in a global village where businesses are competing, not just within their geographical region. They are competing with in a global village, and hence you need to it pressures or puts it affects how businesses what operate. Okay, so if you look here, it says international facilitator increase international business opportunities, competition, and so on. Businesses now, like I use Toyota, they are not only producing for the Japanese. No, today they are using their businesses, their cars in Africa, right? Other companies are competing in Africa. So what do? You move there. It is a force, right? Businesses are moving to are crossing borders, and it will push you as a business to cross borders, and that is the international forces they are referring to. Are you okay now?
Yes, please.
Yes. So let's go to the next one. So like I said, sometimes some of the slides, the book is so, I mean, the explanation is there. You realize some of them I was not looking at it, I was explaining. From the understanding you get from you take note. You don't just sit and listen and listen and listen and go. Be jotting down certain things. Okay, that may not be there, but I'll be explaining. That can help you a lot. And I believe some of you or all of you are doing that. Those who are not doing it, I will encourage you. Get a book when you come to the class. If you have observed, there are sometimes I don't read it, what is there, because you already have it, you can read. Or you can't read it. You can read it, right? So what you need is just it's other further explanations to what is there, and that is what I do. Okay. Yes. So don't expect I'll be reading verbatim and be explaining it. No. So So jot those ones down and augment it or add it to what is in your books already. Okay. So we now go to the other forces. You know, the general forces, we talk general environmental forces, we talk or external forces, we talk about them. We look at five of them. Now we also have forces, we refer to them as the tax environment. Now this one, we can also refer to it as the internal environmental forces. Okay, yes, the internal environmental force. And this one, unlike the general environment that indirectly affects business, this directly affects business. So this includes specific elements or specific forces that influence the organization's growth, survival, and success. Okay, and in here in this course, we are going to look at the tax environment to include the organization's customers, competitors, suppliers, shareholders, regulators, labor unions, pressure groups, and partners. Okay, so this is what we are going to look at. Then this you see here are internal. You realize they are internal. We call them, they directly affect the business. So we call them tax environment. Take note of this tax environment. Okay. Yes. So in an objective test, when you are asked which of the following is part of all the following are part of tax environment except, or all the following are elements of tax environment except, you see that you have to keep note of all these things here. They will bring one which is maybe is from, let's say they add social cultural environment, right? Or they add any of the general environment to this, then that becomes the answer that it is not part. So these are the patterns when you are studying, you need to learn and be able to know so that you don't confuse yourself. So let's look at the tax environment. The tax environment, the first has to do with the customers. The customers, we say they affect the organization directly. Organizations are there to produce for customers. Without customers, organizations exist in a vacuum. Okay, so it's what the customers want that the organization would have to provide, or what the organization provide is what the customers will procure. However, customers form a very great part in our in this current dispensation. Today, businesses that just do what we call the push system. Okay, there are some product that yes, push system can work. When I talk about push system, that is when you produce anything at all, you produce on a mass scale and send it to the market for consumers to come and buy. But okay, but today we take customers' tastes and preferences are changing, and they are changing at a faster pace. Consumers want different things at different points in time. Then you need to respond to them. If you do not respond to them, you lose them to your competitors. Okay, yes. So it is they play a key role in this. So consumers normally we say they try to force down prices, which can affect the business profit. They want to get higher quality, and consumers they increase competition among sellers by playing one against the other, because you know when you are producing a similar goods on undifferentiated goods or even substitute goods, then immediately you do not serve your consumers well, then they'll find an alternative. Quickly they'll switch to another product. So they become a force that companies will have to look at. Another is competitors. Competitors. Competitors mean firms that you are in rivalry with. Okay, firms that they are producing similar goods as you are also producing. And these firms will adopt certain strategies that you would also have to respond. Okay, strategies such as their advertising, their promotion, their price cutting strategies that they put in place. They said that you may be producing similar products, substitute product. Theirs may be low on the market, maybe just a small margin of it, right? But consumers, due to psychological pricing, will go for that. Okay. And sometimes the price reduction too might be very significant. And it is because maybe they have done their internal processes well, such that they are able to minimize their unit cost of production. And once you're able to minimize your unit cost of production, it feeds into your what? Your output cost, or the cost that the selling price that you are going to sell is going to be low, but still you will get the margin that you would want. Okay, and this is a competitive competitors within the business environment give competition. They bring competition to the firm. So yeah, it says the level of competition it faces affects an organization's position in the market. So you may tend to lose your market share because some companies will enter the market. Okay, so if you go further, you will see uh, Porter's 5 competitive forces. And as part of that forces, one of them is internal rivalry, the internal rivalry among consumers. Another that can even affect you is the new entrant. If the industry is such that new companies can enter without so many restrictions. There's industries that before you establish there, you need to do so many things. The legal aspect of it and all those things, documentations, it deters people from going into such industries. There are some too that require high capital, right? They are capital intensive, and it deters people from going to such places. But if the entry is such low, and you get those competitions coming in, you get those rivalries increasing there, and you would have to adapt to it and respond. And this affects the business. So this is one of the internal forces, or we call it as the tax environmental forces. Then suppliers, those who produce, who give you your raw materials, okay, your materials, your labor, they also form part of a force. So we see an organization depends upon supplies of materials and labor, and it would endeavor to take advantage of competition among suppliers to secure low prices, better quality service, faster delivery. Remember, the suppliers we are dealing with in some places, you are not the only one they are producing for. So today, in order to be able to secure your suppliers, organizations will go into a long-term relationship with their suppliers. Okay, and once they do that, they don't do that kind of transactional arm's length relationship. No, they don't pass through that. Some do supplier development, and all this one is to make the supplier committed to them, so that even if there are shortage of supplies or scarcity, they will be prioritized in such instances. Again, there are moments where in some industry you will find that suppliers have more power, especially when buyers are many and the suppliers are few. Then what do? It becomes a competition between you. Okay, so the power of the suppliers will be more. And when the power of suppliers are more, it means they will raise prices above the cost that they are supposed to sell. So these are some of the forces that affect businesses. Another is employees, of course, employees. So in some business environment, you see that, for example, if you come to Ghana now, based on the population census, okay, you get to realize that there are more youth, there are more teeming youth compared to the aged. It tells us that there are more labor force within the Ghanaian market. Okay, and this labor force means that they are readily available. However, we now have to go into the labor force and see, as a company, the required skills that this labor force need to have in order to work for us, do they have it? Okay, if they have it, then it means they fall within. They become a resource to the organization. Okay, so there's a hand up. Ernestina, do you have a question? Okay. So we say for example, if you look at this, say demographic factors contribute massively to changing nature of workforce in a greater number of organizations. Time, birth rates, machines, will lead to labor force shortage. And like I was using the case of Ghana. I mean, in Ghana, we have so many teeming youth who are unemployed. Some have degrees, some are not that. So if you find companies that find themselves in Ghana, we are not going to suffer getting employees unless maybe, like I was saying, the required technical expertise or skills needed are not in the market. Then it get to affect um, the organization. Again, another one is labor unions. Okay, so labor unions also equally they are important. And when we talk about unions, they are organized groups, okay, of operating employees that collectively bargain with the organization over issues such as wages, the hours of work, okay, labor hours, working conditions, and other things that benefit employees. They are there as a mouthpiece for the employees, and they also affect the business and how it operates and how it deals with its employees. Okay, labor unions, I mean, today they can call off strike. Today, when you even come to UCC, I don't know, if it's senior staff or whatever people, they say they are on strike. And they say they are on strike. Okay, so and it's because of their labor union. Because of the union they belong to. One person cannot stand up and say, I'm going on strike. But I mean, they become a force to reckon with when they are in group and they have one mouthpiece. Okay, then we also have special interest groups. We also have special interest groups that have forces. Even we have CSOs. I mean, some so other special interest groups like National Consumers Association, National Association of Women, Friends of the Earth. Okay, all these ones also work to influence business organizations, CSOs, like I mentioned, civil society organizations. They want to seek the interests of the general public, and they also come to affect your organization. Financial institutions are also part. Remember, when you're going for, I mean, businesses need money and all that. It is they tend to these companies, insurance companies, investment banks. Okay, they supply organizations with funds so that they'll be able to maintain their operations and in many cases expand their businesses. Okay, and so the businesses have to form a good working relationship with these institutions. Another one which we look at is the media. Today, I mean, the media is covering everything. The media is covering every affairs, just as, I mean, today the traditional media is doing so, social media is also going. Okay, so they form a very good part of it. I mean, look at what is trending now. Just something that happened in Zambia today all over and fugu, fugu, fugu. I mean, it is social. This is the power of social media. That's the power of the media now. Similarly, if an organization goes to do any unethical thing or any bad thing, and the media captures it, oh, that organization is gone. You are gone just like that because of the media. So it has become a very powerful force within the business environment that directly affects the organization. Same as it can promote a negative attitude of an organization or a negative outcome organization is having. The same way, if it is positive too, it can also help the organization. Okay. Then another is the shareholders, or the last one we look at is the shareholders and board of directors. They are also part of it. In fact, these people are they are the financiers, they are the investors. Okay, so these investors and these board of directors, those who are taking the strategic decisions for the organization, they also directly affect the organization. They directly affect the organization and its operations. Okay. So these, as we've looked at, the is the tax environment of organizations. The tax environment of organizations. Okay. So if you look at the general environment, if you look at the tax environment, briefly, who can differentiate between these two? Who can differentiate between the general environment and the tax environment? Yes. Who is giving us the differentiation, the distinction? What is the distinction between the general environment and tax environment? Okay, today I say I'll mention names. Yeah. Majid.
Okay, so please, with the general environment, it contains factors or elements in the environment which do not directly influence an organization. It includes the socio-cultural forces, the political, legal forces, and other economic forces. But with the tax environment, it consists of very specific elements in the environment that directly influences an organization, including the customers, competitors, suppliers, employees, and some labor unions.
All right, thank you very much. Yes, in fact, if you just write what you have said in exams for such a question, you get a full mark for it. So if you had only defined it without mentioning, going further to mention examples and instances like that, for me, marking as an examiner, I'll give you half. So in many situations, when you define something, there are examples you can cite, instances you can cite, you add it. Okay, many marking schemes call for that. You don't just say it and go free, go like that. You add those instances to them. All right, good. So you have summarized these two units we have done. Let's go to the third unit. Now, in the third unit, we are looking at social responsibility. If we are looking at the forces, we are moving on to social responsibilities. Now, there's the argument that businesses exist within environment. Yes. Some scholars argue that these businesses exist to make business, and hence they should focus on doing their business and making profits. Some also argue that yes, they exist to make business, to do business and make profit. However, they have some responsibilities or obligations that they need to discharge as they operate within a society or within the environment that they operate. So today, let's look at some of these arguments that have been raised against social responsibility and for social responsibility. Okay. When we talk about that, so these two sides that I've talked about, scholars like Zeberman and Co. Okay, so some say companies must go beyond doing well. It means that they have to simply earn a profit. Okay, and doing good. That is, they have to live up to their social responsibilities, and that brings in the social responsibility. Okay, so they have to go beyond just doing well. If the business is doing well, it means that I mean, earning profit, and that is the main objectives of business. I should go beyond that to do good, and the good in comes here with the social obligations or social responsibilities that it has. Okay, so Studevant explain social responsibility as the obligations that organizations have, okay, to protect or to enhance the society in which it functions. So those kind of uh, obligations that organizations have, okay, to preserve and to protect or even enhance where it finds itself or where it operates, it functions, it's physical social responsibility. So anything the organization does, okay, to protect the environment it lives in, it operates within, or even to enhance the life of people within the place, we say it's a social responsibility. Okay. Now, as mentioned earlier, social responsibility, which has to do with the organization going beyond just doing well to doing good. Some scholars are against it, some also are for it. So let's look at some of the arguments that are against social responsibilities. Now, one of these arguments, okay, that's against it is that social responsibility is seen as something that decreases the profits. And as such, it contradicts the real reason for a corporation existence. Corporations are exist to make money, to make profit, right? So any money that is expended in doing any social activity, we see it as actually taking it from the pocket of the stockholders or shareholders. And that is the first argument we are looking at. So we see that business exists to make profit and nothing else. Okay. Anything that it does that do not bring profit, it's like taking money from the stockholders, okay, in a wrongful manner. Okay, taking money in a wrongful manner. And then that is the idea, that is the argument that is uh, raised by some scholars that are against social responsibility. Another argument is that social responsibility gives corporations too much power. If organizations goes into social responsibilities, go and do corporate social responsibility as we call it, it gives organizations too much power, which is deemed to destroy the checks and balances among the government, business, and the general public. So what this argument means is that if organizations now go beyond just doing well to do good and doing good, and they do those good they do to the society gives them power such that it reduces, okay, the checks and balances that, for example, some government entities need to have on them. So we have EPA, we have Ghana Standard Authority, and many of them. These entities, okay, they are there to ensure those checks and balances. They are there to ensure that businesses conform to certain, standards, okay, certain environmental regulations and all that. Now, once they do good, sometimes something that government even have to do, they go in to do it for the society and all that. Those things now weakens the system that needs to check on them. Okay, it's like it's like a parent failing to pay a child's school fees, or let's say, yeah, failing to pay or not able to, incapable to pay a child's school fees or something, and the child suffers to get the school fees and pay and be going to school. I mean, the parent mostly will have some. You will feel that you have not been able to do what you are supposed to do, and your son or your child is doing what you are supposed to do. Okay, especially if the person is at a tender age and is not an adult. Uh, you may even the parents may not have that control over them to even say talk about the school that the person is going and even give suggestions and whatever, because you don't have the right, something sort of, or you lose that control because you did not do what you are responsible for. Okay, so and that is the case. It gives the child power in that instance, and that is extending it to the business or corporation. That is what we are talking about. Okay, yeah. So it gives them that sort of, even in the society, they will revere that organize or corporation. So that sometimes if they are doing, there are something they are doing now overboard, they overlook it because they have done good to them. Yeah, and that is the argument that is also expounded by others. Again, there's a hand up for a question. Okay, Enoch.
Yes, please, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir. Please, can I say that some of the NGOs, they sometimes go overboard
Mhm.
in terms of provision of social amenities for some communities. Because of
Mhm.
that, it has given some of the NGOs the power to be doing certain things, which at
Mhm.
certain points in time is not right. Let's say, for
Mhm.
instance, this Galamsey activity going on in Ghana, right?
Yeah.
I have personally heard of some NGOs going around siphoning information and giving it to the security personnel and some other government agencies to go in and arrest some people. So sometimes
Mm.
so some of these things also affect the people or the state.
Yeah, okay, exactly so. Exactly what we are talking about. Because they go in, they do this, and this is the argument that is although it's arguable, this is an argument that is against social focus on responsibility. And you see, it happens so because of we've lost check and balances. And we find ourselves also in a system where it is not a system that is functioning. We set laws, there are regulations and all that, but implementation become or enforcement become very difficult. Yeah, so you see, it has given them that power. Okay, and they are now wielding that power and doing other things that is not, I mean, ideal in the society. Yeah, so it's part because of what they do to the society. So they basically have shut the mouth of people who would have to be speaking against it. And that is the sad aspect of it. And that is why some scholars argue that businesses should stay and make their profits and should not come and do those things. Okay. All right. So good. Third one is corporations are not accountable for the results of their actions. Thus, an organization can use its money in any way it wants. So, another argument of CSR is that, I mean, corporations are there to make profit. So, if they take their money to do anything without going into investment to make profit, it means that they are not accountable, right? That accountability aspect is lost because they should be accountable for any penny that they use to do anything. Okay. Then again, corporations may lack the expertise to be socially responsible. So another argument is that those avenues that they go in to help within a society, that is not their main mandate. It's not their core mandate, and hence they may not be able to do those social programs well. So this argument explains that they should leave it to those who are well versed in those areas to do, rather than going into those areas. Okay, so they should leave it for people who are into those social avenues. Okay, providing those social programs like social workers, teachers, and so on to do that. Okay. The last argument you look at against social responsibility is that corporations may have conflicts of interest in how they spend their money. So when now monies are there, instead of it to maybe invest in a particular business, now it comes. Do we serve the society or do we use it for this investment? Okay, and it becomes a conflict of interest. However, if that is not in existence, then we can just go on to spending with in our objectives. But because of social responsibility, that interest also comes in. When we talk about conflict of interest, it means you have two interests that, I mean, you would have to meet one of them. Okay, you would have to meet one of them. All right, there are also arguments for social responsibility. So just as you look at five of them, let's look at five also here. Now, this says that, you see, one of the arguments for this is organizations are also seen as as social beings. Okay, they are individuals, they are citizens. And as citizens, as humans or like individuals, you owe some responsibility to the society. You owe that responsibility to improve the society that you live within. So once organizations live within societies and they are citizens of the society, then it dawns on them, okay, to be take up certain responsibilities that promote or improve the society as a whole. And that is one of the arguments for social responsibilities. So just by the fact that they are like individuals and corporations as citizens, they owe a social responsibility to the environment or the society in which it operates. The second argument for it is that it says business creates some problems. Organizations where you find yourself, you create problems like water pollution, air pollution. And once you create those problems, then you have to help solve them through your social responsibility. Right. So that's another argument for it. You can't come and create problem and expect another person to come and solve it. So once you are polluting the environment you operate in various ways, you also help to solve it. You go to some societies, I mean some areas, because the company is using huge, what do you call it, heavy vehicles. They tend to destroy the road that leads there. So are we saying that they should not help? And that is the argument, one of the arguments for they should not help in fixing that road that they use. They will create big potholes that people's saloon cars will get destroyed fast and all that. They have to help us to fix that road to solve it. Okay, maybe their production process releases certain waste into the water bodies or into the environment. They also have to help solve it. And that is a social responsibility they owe to the society within which they operate. Another argument brought forth is that organizations have ample resources to help society. Organizations, aside what they have resources, vast resources at their disposal that they have to give the society, return some to the society. Okay, return some of it to the society to improve the society in general. So they can't be hoarding those resources or keeping it to themselves and seeing that those societies, need them and not giving that to them to help them. And this can be financial resources to do certain projects, okay, within the society. So you see organizations go, sometimes they build some societies, a community center, okay. Some they do their roads or create what you help construct the road and certain drainage systems to help improve the society. Then again, another argument is that business and government and the general public are partners in society. So once they are partners in society, okay, it is on them that it's a must on them to endeavor to protect, maintain, and also nourish the society within which they are partners of. Okay, lastly, argument for argument against social responsibility is safe to that they can be logically refuted, right? That's another argument that all those arguments for that we are made here, they can be logically what refuted. It is so it doesn't stand. So this is it. I don't know where you stand, but let's do quick. Where do you stand? This argument that we've made, you as a person, where do you stand when we talk about social responsibilities of business? Where do you stand? Are you for or against? Um, Enoch, are you for or against?
So I'm
Yeah,
for.
you are for.
I'm for in the sense
Okay.
that if our mining companies and our
Mm,
refineries in our various communities are working, extracting our minerals and making huge profit from it, then they have to
mm,
find a way of also compensating the community members by providing them with adequate and good facilities like education, good roads, and proper
mm,
water,
mm,
potable drinking water. That will help the
mm,
community. They can't just come away and be stealing and then making profit and making use of our resources.
mm.
Thank you,
That's
sir.
great. That's great. Thank you very much. Thank you. All right. Yes. Any other? So Enoch is for. Do you have anyone who is against social responsibility? So I believe the scholars for social responsibility have convinced all of us. They are successful in convincing all of us that social responsibility is good. That's fine. So we are all for social responsibilities. All right. So let's now look at approaches to social responsibility. As you have looked at the argument for and against, now
Sir,
scholars like yes.
sir, please, according to Enoch, or argument for social responsibility,
Mhm,
what of if the business is not making much profit in order to give back to society, but society also
Um,
expects more from them?
you see, my sister,
okay. Mm-hmm.
I want to answer your question.
Mm-hmm. Enoch,
Assume you
come
have
in.
assume you have a farmland, eh? And I have come and always working and harvesting in your farmland always. Even if the output is not enough for me to be able to provide all your needs, at least I should be able to do something small to help you. Is that not it?
Yes, that
So
one.
these are some of the things. These are some of the, maybe let's say for instance MTN. Let's take Valco. Let's take Obasi Gold Mines. I don't know whether the name has been changed or not. You see, they are in Otunfo's land territory. So at the end of the
Mm,
year, this money, Otunfo is not saying that they should bring all their profit. You understand me? You can't tell
Yes,
me
bruh.
that I should bring. You can't tell me that I should bring my output, everything to you to enjoy. No, I have also employed people. I have also factored in other factors of production, which I must also what what will I say? How will I say it?
Make profit
Apportionate the
out of it.
profit to make profit out of it. So the little profit that will come out of it. Oh, maybe you need to pay your child school fees. Oh, you need to medical. Oh, okay. Once in a while, I come take 500 for your children's upkeep. Let me pay this child school fees. You don't have a good role in your community, so at least let me try and then do something small, but give you some gutters or some rules. At least it's better somewhere. So they can't say that they'll have a blind eye on this. No, they have to come down and then do something for the community. That is why we are still having illegal mining in our mining communities. So if the mining companies in those areas, right, are trying to employ, or at least they are employing at least about 20 to 30% of the youth in these communities, there wouldn't be any issue with illegal mining and those kind of things. Just put them, take them as what, as unskilled labor, put them
yeah,
somewhere, so that at the end of the day they can be able to work and get something for themselves. But if they will come to the urban centers and employ graduates, put on tie, and go and sit in their air condition, and then they'll be working for them. Meanwhile, they will not attend to the indigenous in those areas. That is
yeah.
why we are having so much unemployment in some places.
Mm,
My
yeah,
sister,
you
do you
are.
understand
That's good. You are.
my point?
Hey, Enoch, rather. Enoch,
Oh, yes,
thank you very
please.
much.
I
I
have.
think Damatu,
Welcome.
Thank you
yeah,
so much.
Damatu. So Damatu,
Sir,
like, yes, Enoch has, yes, like
the
Enoch has mentioned,
expectation,
in addition to, no, like,
expectation of
what's
society
the
is too
expectation?
much.
It's not too much. I mean, that's what Enoch has said. It's about you were from the point that if the organization is not making too much profit and the society has too much expectations. I mean, society cannot have too much expectations just like that. Okay. The society gets too much expectation when they've seen that you came small and you have grown to be big and you are doing nothing for them. Do you understand? Do you get it? Yes, you came small as a small business. Now you have expanded and you are doing nothing for them. Like Enoch is mentioning, and you came small, you are not employing our people. You have now expanded and you are still not employing our people. Society's own, the company's own obligations, or even as a social responsibility to employ a percentage of people within the community. Now, if you come to UCC here, as part of the social responsibility, you come and meet workers, especially the unskilled labor, okay, those who sweep, I mean, junior staff. Majority of them are from around. Within the community that UCC operates, there are Amama, Pro, whatever. There are people that UCC is employing every year as junior staffs and co. And that is the social responsibility they owe to them as a community that they find themselves within the Cape Coast environment. And that is how it is. So you find mining firms, Boasi and Co. And like what Enoch is saying, they are not employing people who are there. You go to Takwa and see people are now fighting. I mean, quite recently, they are not employing their people. The chiefs went to them. Why aren't they employing people in there? Again, some of them, if you're not making, so those expectations come from that angle. Then again, if businesses are not making too much huge profit, it's not social responsibility. It's not just about giving money or doing capital projects and all that. No, it can be putting your employees together to go and do community cleanup exercise, right? If you community cleanup exercise, and if you get community members joining you, it's just about championing it. All these are means or are social obligations, or I mean social responsibilities that we are talking about. It's not always in financial terms. I hope that is clear. Number two, I hope that is clear. And on the class. Hello, are you here
Yes,
with
sir.
me?
Yeah, we can
All
hear
right.
you, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We can hear you, sir.
All right, good. Let's continue. All right, so here we are saying there are approaches to social responsibility. Okay. And Fleet explained that social responsibilities can be into this three. I mean, we have this typical three broad approaches that to social responsibility. We have the social obligation, social reaction, and social responsiveness. With the social obligation, we say that social responsibility may simply be said to refer to meeting economic and legal obligation and not going beyond them. So one approach to social responsibility, some feel that this approach is organization using the social obligation. What it feels that I will make my profit and I will obey the laws of the society or the country that I'm operating within. And once I do that, I am done with social responsibility. I don't go beyond that. So organizations will come, okay, I'm in existence to make profit. When I make my profit, I also make sure that I do my business activities, okay, in confine with the laws. I don't do anything illegal. Once I'm within the laws, I'm within the laws and operating within the laws, I am good to go. It means I have done social responsibility by not what do you call doing anything that goes against the law. Okay, and this social obligation is viewed as a profit-centric one. It's a profit-centric one. Okay, and this was advocated by Milton Friedman, an economics, Milton Friedman, who suggests that social responsibility is best governed by the invisible hands of the marketplace. So making profit and obeying the laws, that is it. Then we have the social reaction approach to social responsibility. So the social reaction view, okay, of social responsibility, this view is social responsibility, not obligation. So take note of here. I think it's a typo error. Supposed to be social obligation because these are approaches to social obligations, not social obligation, social responsibility, not social obligation. Social obligation itself, as we have said, is what is an approach to social responsibility. So please correct it if you have the book or if it's soft copy you are using, make sure this is social responsibility. So we see social reaction view social uh, responsibility as an organization's reaction to society's expectation or business behavior, which goes beyond providing goods and services. So social reaction has to do with that has approach to social responsibility of organization to react to the expectations that the society has for them, not just for producing the goods and services they do, but the extra things they do. And in here, the central point is on reacting to society's demand. And this demand can either be voluntary or involuntary. Okay, so businesses can go beyond just producing goods and services and do voluntary actions that benefit the organization, or even sometimes involuntary actions. Okay, that affect or that react to the expectations. Like Lamatu was saying, yes, society have expectations for businesses. So sometimes this expectation can be met voluntarily or involuntarily, and that is what we term as a social reaction. Okay, so the interpretation of what is voluntary and what is involuntary is that when we say a more restricted interpretation holds the view that social responsibility involves only voluntary actions. So some argue that when we talk about social reaction, okay, the social reaction approach, all those things that are done beyond just producing goods and services are voluntary. Meaning businesses, they plan for them. They really want to do it, so they do it. Okay. But a broader one, that is a restrictive interpretation. It's a restrictive one. But generally, or a broader interpretation, they view the social responsibility as reactions that goes beyond the law. So, for example, reactions to consumerism, okay, social activities, and so on. So the reactions that go beyond, I mean, businesses, I mean, do certain things that, what do you call it, goes beyond what the law is about. So concern for consumers and all that and activities, so social activities that they carried out. Okay. So these are just I mean about a broader view of it. Okay. But someone will also say that this one and this one too can be voluntary. That is argument another person can make, right? Can be a voluntary actions. All right. So you see, it gives an example here in the general one. For example, give an example here. General company that takes the social reaction approach is one that meets it of social obligations, but is also willing to react to appropriate societal requests and demands. What did we say social obligation of approach to social responsibilities? We mentioned that it's about the company getting its economic value, profit, and also obeying the laws. When we talk about this approach, which is the reaction approach, it is also about the company getting profit, obeying the laws, and going beyond that. And the beyond that comes in with what they do to benefit the society. Okay, what they do to benefit the society. So, for example, actions of companies that agree to help local charities by donating funds to support, say, the NFC sickle cell education campaigns. These are examples of social reactions. They've seen problem within a society or a foundation. I mean, it's a sickle cell campaign education, whatsoever they come in. Aside making profit and obeying the laws, they come in to do these further actions. The third approach to social responsibility is what we term as social responsiveness. Social responsiveness. And in social responsibility, say, goes beyond obligations and requests and actively seek ways to benefit society. So they go beyond the social obligations, okay, and requests and do things that will benefit the society. And this view recognizes social responsibility as anticipatory and preventive. So they do things to prevent either than reacting. The reactive one we looked at is more of what responding. So we need sickle cell campaign, then they come in, they help. We need this, they come in, they help. But the social responsiveness is about they do things even without requesting, without organizing society requesting it. Okay, yes, and that is what the responsiveness is about. They do things without the organizations, so they see it as their responsibility. Are you told to do your responsibilities? No, no one is told. I mean, responsible people are not told to do A, B, C, D. They know that it is for them to do. So they go and they do it. And that is how this approach is. So organizations see that, oh, it's my responsibility to do this. But the society need not to request before I go and do for them. Okay. I have to do it. And then they go on to do it. So that is also the approach to that. All right. So that is for unit 3, which we looked at um, social responsibility. We began with it. We look at the arguments for social responsibility. And we look at the various approaches. Okay. The argument for and against. We don't have enough time. I would have asked you, but if we do, I'll come back and ask you the argument for and against, so that when you meet it, you'll be able to write them. All right. Now let's delve into areas of social responsibility. Okay, we talk about social responsibility broadly. Now let's narrow down and go into various areas that we classify as social responsibility. So one, we have business responsibility to customers. So now businesses owe certain responsibility to customers. So in here, we are looking at various areas. We are targeting various stakeholders within the business environment. So yes, business owes responsibility to customers, right? The business customers, they are the one of the most important groups of stakeholders, and they must satisfy their needs. So the business have to endeavor to build and maintain a royal customer base, a customer base of loyal customers. You need to build relationship with these customers. Okay, so a business social responsibility to customers usually relates to the product characteristics or the product that they give them. Okay, that's including the quality, the safety of the product, the packaging they use, okay, and the product performance. All these are responsibilities that businesses own to consumers to give them what they want and at the time they want it, at the so right quality at the right time, and all that comes in. Yes. So, for example, if you take the case of Unilever have a stakeholder pledge, and this stakeholder pledge that they have it for, and it's a social responsibility basically. They have it for different groups of stakeholders within their business environment. So, for consumers and customers, remember, customers are different from consumers. A customer can be a consumer, right? But not all consumers are customers. Who understands this? I say a customer can be a consumer, but not all consumers are customers. Who can explain it? What is so that you know the distinction? Not all consumers are customers, but a customer can also be a consumer. Yes, Sarah. Sarah.
Hello, sir.
Yes, we can hear
Hello.
you. We
Yeah,
can hear you, Sarah. Talk.
okay, to me, I can be a customer. Maybe I'll go and buy something. I'm a customer. Maybe I'll consume it myself, or maybe I'll go and give it to someone. So the person I'm giving it to is a consumer, but the person didn't go to buy the thing by him or herself. So I being a customer, I can be a consumer, but the consumer, that person is in the house. He didn't go to the market to buy anything. He's just a consumer.
Good, good. So that is well elucidated. That is well explained. Let's go. Let's move on. Yes. So yes, usually the consumers are those who are the final. I mean, or who really uses the product. Okay. Yes. A customer can just like she mentioned, can just go, you are maybe buying the product, but you may not be the one who will be using it. Some point too, you can be the one who is using it. Then you are now the consumer at that point too. Yes. So yes, the Unilever have pledge for these different groups. So for example, for consumers, they have this for them. For customers, they have this for them. Mm. Delight our consumers. So you see, right blend of product which meet their everyday needs with an innovative and optimum blend of quality, convenience, price, and personal satisfaction. They produce right product, right package size, right price, right quality, right place, right time, preferred product and producer. For customers, they also have this. Okay. They have that. You know,
Yes, sir. So please, most often it do happen that dependents,
mhm,
most often they are the consumers.
mhm,
Sometimes, let's say if you're in the house, there are kids or are children, they are most often consuming much more. If I
of
can cite
course,
an
of course.
example,
Yeah.
if I can cite an
Yeah.
example, people who normally sell alcoholic beverages and other hard drugs, about 90% of them are not consumers of those products. If I can say, they sell them, but they don't consume them.
Of course, I mean, it's just like in the case of in the case of retailers, right? Retailers,
Yes, please. They're retailers.
retailers are consumers, are customers to wholesalers, but I
Yes,
mean they are
please.
not consumers. So those
They're
who
not consumers.
even retailers, like you are mentioning, they will be retailing. Someone will come and buy them. A parent will buy it. A parent is a customer, but the
Mm,
consumer can be the parent. It can be the child, right? Yes. So
yes, please.
yeah.
And also those who have been selling the weed. Yes, they don't themselves. They don't smoke the weed.
Yeah,
But
of course,
there
of
are
course.
other
You
people
also,
who come and then buy them. Not all of them.
yes.
Thank you, sir.
All right, you're welcome.
Hey,
So yes,
Enoch, are you a customer? Are you a customer of weed?
Enoch,
Hey,
what you are
customer,
mentioning,
Oh,
customer.
maybe if you want it, I can go and
The
buy
way
it.
you
I
are
will give it to
hammering
you to
on it,
consume.
You cannot use this platform to promote the selling of marijuana.
No.
You cannot use this platform to promote that. And in Ghana, our laws have illegalized it. It's not legal now. Okay, it's those who have the license to produce it's just for medical purposes. You can't sell it in an open market. Mm.
Yes, please.
All
Very
right,
true.
all the market they are selling are shadow market, what we call black market. All right, so let's look at another group of people that businesses own responsibility to is employees. Okay, employees. So employees, I mean, business social responsibility employees, they can be minimally met by obeying laws relating to employer relations. So there are laws. Every country has laws. Ghana has labor laws. Okay, that's I talk about employee safety, employee working conditions, employee wages, working conditions, leave terms, and all that. Okay, some others include training, career development, maternity leave, and all these ones are there. Okay, that's the employer, they owe the business owes to employees. So, for example, still with the case of Unilever, as a stakeholder pledge to employees, and this is it. Attract, retain, and develop the best people. Integrated HR system, right people, right place, right time, right skill, like that. Right employer. So, according to these scholars, they argue that we have the following. So, according to Zebra and Scarborough, the business owners need to recognize their employees as the most valuable resources. Employees are most valuable resources based on them. So they suggest that for business owners to prove to their employees that they are really their number one asset, then they have to do the following. Okay. If businesses want to now come say employees are most valuable as resources, then we must see businesses doing the following. One, listening to employees and respecting their opinion. Listen to employees' cries and woes. You listen to them, respect their opinions. Okay. They don't just, it's not like uh, a top down approach. Employees are brought in, they are their ideas are also taken into consideration. If asked for input, involve them in decision making, right? That's involvement. So that when you bring their suggestions and all that, yeah, they also take into consideration. They provide regular feedbacks to employees. Employees do not report cases and they just throw it somewhere. Mm, yes, and all no. They tell them the truth always. They let them know exactly what is expected of them. They reward employees for performing their jobs well. So there are reward systems and there are punishment systems. There are all those ones are there. Trust them, create an environment for respect and teamwork. So if environment where businesses value employees, you see this at play there. Again, businesses also own responsibility to their shareholders, the investors. Okay, so a firm shareholder, they owe responsibilities to them. And this includes disclosure of use of corporate resources and the result of those resources. So what did you use our money for? You need to tell them what you use the money for and the result of what the outcome of what came out of that money. So there is argument that management's top responsibility is to the shareholders. Then also shareholders have fundamental right to understand to information about the organization, of which the investor can make a prudent investment decisions. Again, some evidence also suggests that firms that aggressive pursue social responsibility behavior are more profitable than those who do not. So firms that do pursue social responsibility, some arguments are that they are more responsible than those who do not pursue social responsibility, or they are more successful or profitable. Okay, they are more profitable. And it's true, people will want to deal with firms that do social responsibility or that improve social the environment. Okay. Mm. They want to deal with them. Suppliers want to deal with them. Consumers want to deal with them. They want to buy their product, and that increases their market share and increases their profits in the long run. Then business also have responsibility to the community. So within the environment that they operate, they owe responsibility to them. Apart from giving them jobs and creating wealth, or apart from provision of jobs and wealth, creation of wealth, social responsibility business contribute to the local community in also various ways, like donating money, time, personnel to civic societies and voluntary organizations. In education, providing some scholarship opportunities for needy students, providing tours to their plant, okay? And it's part of it. When students want to go visit an organization and go to let's say, I remember during my undergraduate, they went to Accra Brewery and all that. When we were doing operations management, as part of it, we went to a tour to organization and all that. This is a social responsibility they owe to students within the community they operate, within the country they operate. So organizations, you can't close your door that, students cannot or people cannot come there and come and tour my production plants. No, you can't close such doors. Then it means you are not being socially responsible uh, in that manner. Okay. You provide work placement schemes for students to get valuable work experience. So internship opportunities. All these are business responsibilities or to the community or to the country within which they operate. All these are within my social responsibilities. Again, to the environment, business also have responsibilities to the environment. They operate within the environment, they pollute the environment, and they would have to protect the environment or help protect the environment. And that is the case of that. So they can just read this, and that is what it's about. Okay. All right. So that is for, these are the specific areas that businesses hold responsibility to the environment. All right. So we have looked at the business environment, we looked at general environment, tax environment. We came down to look at social responsibility, right? Yes. Then we even now came to look at we've looked at what we call the various areas in social responsibility. Now we go to the other aspect of today's lecture, which is ethics. Ethics. The nature of business ethics. In fact, ethics have been defined by several authors in different ways. Okay, yes. Let's take some of these definitions. The definition by Henderson, 1982, for example, says that principles of ethics are principles of behavior that distinguish between good, bad, right, and wrong. Okay, so principles of behavior that distinguish between good, bad, right, and wrong. And Brady also explains that ethics are those standards or morals a person sets for himself or herself regarding what is good and bad, right and wrong. So it's almost the same, right? Bradley and Henderson's definition talks about good, bad, right, and wrong. Okay. Basically, the purpose of ethics is to enable individuals to make choices among alternative behavior. So you can make a choice that will be termed by the society as good because they see it to be ethical, right? Some choices you make, they see to be bad or wrong choices. Yes. Or you see some choices, they say this is a right choice, being ethical. This is a wrong choice, you are unethical. Yeah, so these definitions come. However, sometimes people confuse themselves with these two things, ethics and legal. Something can be ethical, but it will not be legal. So there's this now today we look at the distinction between these two. Okay. So Fleet 91 also observed that it's essential that we know the difference between something that is ethical and something that is legal. When we talk about law or the legal, the law defines for society as a whole some kind of actions that are acceptable or unacceptable. So that is what law is, and that brings legality. Legality is gotten from the laws. So we can do something and we can now put it against. And once we just oppose it against the law, we say, oh, it is good, it is bad. And it's because of the laws that are is governing the environment you find yourself that we can use to determine something as acceptable or unacceptable. Now, in when we talk about ethics, in contrast, when we talk about ethics, ethics often go beyond the law. Ethics are based more on prevailing social norms and expectations. So ethics are about social norms, okay, and expectations of the society. Okay. As legality is coming from the law, what the law says is right or wrong. Ethics is coming from the societal norms, the expectations that they have, right? Yeah, so accordingly, actions that are legal, not all actions, actions that are legal may not necessarily be ethical. There are some things that the laws permit, but society norms and expectations forbid or do not like it. Okay, yes, do not like it. So as an action can be both legal and also ethical. An action can be both legal, okay, but not. I mean, what we are saying is that something can be legal but not necessarily ethical. Okay, same way, that's an action can also be both legal and ethical, but legal but ethical, but unethical, or both illegal and unethical. So let's take this again. Thus, an action can be both legal and ethical. So we can have some actions that, in the confines of the law, it is within. Based on society expectations and the norms, that same action is within. We can also have an action that is legal but unethical. In the confines of the law, it is within it. But society expectations and norms, no, they do not. It doesn't. Okay. In actions, we have some too that are both illegal and unethical. There are some actions too that the law, the law forbids it. The law say you can't do this. Social norms and expectations also say yes, you can't do this. Okay, this cannot be done. Okay, so that comes in. But we will not add that one thing here. Another thing that comes in mind that get confused with all these things too is morality. Morality too is a different ball game together, right? You look at that maybe later. So as we have now established what law is and what legal is and what ethics is. You can now go further to look at what morality too is on your own after this class. It's not in this note, so let's not go there now. So that is ethics. Now I believe we can understand ethics. Ethics is about the societal norms and expectations. So where you find yourself in a family. So let's look at the forms of ethics. In a family, there are ethics. Okay, there are ethics that governs. Okay, and ethics really can come from family. It can be from peers. Okay, it can be determined by family, by peers, by past experiences, by values and morals, and by situational factors. So you see, moral is coming here, but we'll look at it. And by situational factors. Okay, situational factors. So we say family influences play a major role in determining in the determination of an individual's beliefs as to what is good, okay, what is right and what is wrong, or what is and what is not right. Okay, so this, for example, suggests that a person who grows up in a setting where both parents are extremely ethical is likely to develop highly ethical standard. Than one who is not taught the importance of such behavior. And so when you go to some households, some family, the way things are done, okay, they do things in a way that conforms to societal norms. Okay, yes, there are some homes like that. Um, if this is bad, and you see, this ethics that you are talking about can come from values and morals. So you go to some homes, respect is one. Respect, you can't take respect from that home. Okay, respect among each other. Even if you don't have agree with people, with your brother or your sister or your mother or whatever, you can't disrespect the person. That is it. It's there. You go to some homes, they're even displayed there. In this house, we respect everyone. In this house, we do this. Okay, in this house, we are disciplined. In this house, and that is it. It tells what they do. And as the children grow up from there, that's what they do. If the parents are more ethical, they do. But ethics is also influenced by moral. We'll come to that. If you're a Christian, what the Bible says will guide you as to what you do, and that will inform your ethics. If you're a Muslim, what the Quran teaches and says will also tells you what to do. So we'll come to that angle too. Peer influences. Okay, the people you find around you, your people of your mates, your classmates, your work mates. Okay, people you find in your cycle. People you find in your cycle tends to also shape your ethics. So if you find yourself in a cycle where, they are very ethical, right? They always want to do things that are right, as opposed to things that are wrong. You find yourself also doing same. So like the example someone is giving about weed smoking. Somebody will say, "Oh, me, all my friends are weed smokers. I don't smoke." Who told you? One day you will do it. You will do it. The time has not come yet, right? Even if you are not smoking, sometimes, yes, you may not smoke, but you are inhaling what they are giving you, and you are health-wise, you are just like them. Health-wise, you'll be just like them. Now you find yourself, oh, me, all my friends, they do girls, eh? All my friends, they do this. They are womanizers. Oh, but me, I'm not a womanizer. My brother, you are lying. They'll bring you one lady one day, and that is when it will start. Eh? Okay, so peers also influence. Number two, a question.
Sir,
Mm-hmm.
please concerning the ethics, you
Yes.
made mention of people who are into smoking, and if you are there with them, one day you might definitely also smoke. So what of you being there with them and you try to influence them to one day they will also stop smoking?
And that is the risky thing that sometimes we tell ourselves. You are in the midst of you are, let's say, five. You are the only one who's not doing what the other four are doing, and you now tell yourself that yes, I want to be the champion. Go and be with them, and what do you call it? Try to influence them. One person influence four people to stop what they are doing. You can. Yes, it's true. Depending on your moral standards and your ethical standards. But if you are weak in those things, my sister, you fall into it. It depends on your moral standards, your ethical standard, and how strong you are in the area you yourself you want to go and what do you call it, preach. Yes, you are calling temptations for yourself. That's what I can say. And that is, if you ask anyone, that's what they will tell you. If you are maybe three and two are not doing it and one person is doing it, you can easily influence the person. You can easily influence the other third person. But when you find yourself, you are the only one and you are missed, let's say, 10 people, and you, the only one alone, want to be the champion, it becomes difficult. And that is true. Okay, I believe that is true. Lamatu, what do you think about that, what I just said? Lamatu, do you agree with me that it is true that I mean, it's not easy for one person to do that. If you are not strong, you will be overshadowed, and you may join them, or you even go leave them and go.
Yes, please.
Yeah,
So me,
partially
I have
That's
an
it.
experience. So I've seen that
Francis.
before. So
Okay.
yes, cause my one of my friend back in JHL used to talk about those involving. Because where I am teaching, they normally do that
Mm.
frequently. So they normally say bad things about them and stuff. But he happened that he went to SHS and joined some friends, peers. He went for a boarding house. So and
Mm.
in the long run, he's gotten himself lost. He's among them. So somebody we were speaking against went to fall in the pit of them, and now he's joined. And
Yeah.
besides, we can't say much because
Yeah. So peer influence are real in shaping our ethics. Really, they are real in shaping our ethical behavior. Okay. And the case more is if I give the room to many people, many of you can start some same example. Again, we also have past experiences. They also influence an individual standards. Okay. If a person, for example, has been in certain unethical behaviors and it has brought some negative consequences on that person, going forward, that person is going to change, right? That person knows that when I do this, hey, this behavior, no, this thing sends me here. I will not do this one again. Let me change and be more ethical the next time. You are unethical, and based on the wrong thing you did, which is unethical, maybe your family or whatever or society even rejects you or something, right? Or the society do not give you certain opportunities. It can be organization that you are there based on your unethical way of doing things there. The promotion is coming and they don't give it to you. You may change, right? You may change and do the right thing. Again, we also have basic values and morals. They also influence ethics. A person's religious background, like I was mentioning, a person's religious background, how deep you are and how convicted you are in your religious beliefs can shape the way you do things, whether you do things right or wrong. Okay, yeah, it will shape things. I mean, if you're a Christian, your scripture says speak against certain actions, speaks against this. If you're a Muslim, your scriptures also speak against certain actions. Now, the onus lies in how deep you are with it, how really convicted you are with it. That will now tell you, shape your ethical behavior, not to do one thing or the other, or not to do it. Okay, I can cite so many examples, but here I'm not coming to preach here, so I can't give those examples here. Yeah, I'm a lecturer. I'm not.
preach on,
I
preach
just,
on, preach on.
I can't preach. I can't preach on here. It's not a congregation. All right. Another thing is the situational factors, right? Situational factors, they may be seen as events that occur in an almost, let's say, random manner. Sometimes you find yourself in certain situations, and that will enable you or that will let you do something. Okay. So it has the potential to determine the behavior that may or may not be in harmony with the person's ethics. Hmm. So, I mean, these are things that we say they are forms of ethics. Okay. Then let's look at another thing, ethics and management. Ethics and management. So we say that, I mean, over the course of someone's career, of person's career, especially a manager's career, there are certain things that the manager will face to choose from, and we term ethical dilemmas, right? Do I do A or B? Right? Managers are confronted with two conflicting ethical issues. Do I go here or do this? Okay, so these ethical issues, comes in. And I mean, these ethical dilemmas. So let's look at some situations that require ethical decisions to be done. So for example, a manager's business relationship, the relationship between a firm and an employee. relationship of a firm to the employee. Okay, so let's look at this as well. So for example, let's look at the first one, which is hiring and firing. A decision that can bring a dilemma, right? So hiring and firing. Managers need to make such ethical decisions as to who they employ, the most qualified one, how to treat the disabled, and the like. You need to make those kind of choices, right? Who do you employ? Do you employ your own cousin who is not qualified more, or you employ the most qualified person? Right? Yes, we will come to that. So, wages and working conditions. Managers also would have to need to establish certain pay level that employees would be satisfied with, but it's not excessive. Likewise, we say managers should also provide a safe and a congenial working environment for employees. Okay, so that they can work and feel well. And this ones you are doing this as against not doing for them. Or you want to earn profit and you want to reduce it and all that. What you are doing, is it wrong or right? And that comes in with the dilemma. Should we introduce, oh, this one, when you pay them, isn't this okay? Meanwhile, that's not what they deserve, right? Do you give them what they deserve or reduce what they deserve? Then privacy, for example, of an employee who might have drinking or drugs problem might be of concern to the company, even if one keeps his or her problems away from the workplace. Okay, so it comes in like that. Privacy. An employee maybe have issues with drinking, smoking, or maybe a drug thing, but it doesn't bring that problem to the workplace. When it comes to work, a person work diligently. He doesn't joke with the work. However, you know that this my employee is a drunkard, okay, or he likes drinking a lot, or the person is doing certain things that it doesn't conform to whatever. He doesn't do it at the workplace. That one is his social life uh, outside the workplace. As a manager, do you now based on that to say that no, we can't work with you because of what you do at home? eh? Or yeah, so these are also dilemmas that comes in. Or you do privacy, you maintain you let the person privacy be once it is also not affecting your work or it's not within the reach of your work. Tamatu.
Sir, please,
Mm-hmm.
concerning the privacy, assuming a
Mm-hmm.
worker is a drunkard and the person is a driver, and that worker drives speed, and maybe I think that person being a drunkard can cause accidents whilst driving. What advice will you give to me? Thank you.
Okay, so the issue we are talking about privacy here is that the person keeps away from that attitude at work. That attitude doesn't bring it out from work. So, for example, yes, he may like to drink, but he don't drink and drive. Okay, so that's where in the ethical dilemmas come in. The person like to drink, but he don't drink and drive. When he's drinking, then he's home. He's not at work. Or, he knows that if he's going to drive, maybe 8 a.m., he don't drink maybe some hours to that 8 a.m. So he's very diligent with the work. Now, do you base on the fact that he likes drinking, which is not affecting the work, to sack the person? Okay, or to fire the person or so that's what we're talking about. But when the person does that and it affects the job, then it will be an easy decision to take, right? It's going to be an easy decision to take. Mm. So, but somebody can really say that I don't like somebody who likes drinking, although it doesn't affect the work. But someone will say it doesn't bring a good image to my business. Because everybody knows that this person drinks a lot or does this thing or does that, and that person is now associated with my business, okay, or my firm because it's my worker. So based on that, although it's not affecting my work, his work productivity, but based on that, I can't work with you. Oh, people are like that. So that depends on you and what you hold as an employer. Okay. Some will overlook it because it's not affecting the productivity. Some too will say my reputation is at stake as to you being associated with my firm because and you are into this behavior that everybody knows. So you can't work with me.
But excuse me, some will drink midnight, and the next morning you see that they will be dangling whilst at work.
So
What
it's
of that one
affecting
too?
their
And
work.
the person is a
It's
driver.
affecting their work. It's affecting their work. It's affecting their work. Okay. What we are saying is that the person is not affecting the person's work. It is affecting their work. I mean, let me give an example before Doctor asks the question. Now, for example, when you go to the mining firms, in the mining firms, if you are an employee there, especially those who operate the shafts and all those things, I mean, you can't go and drink and every day when you go to work, they check. When they check you, when they check and they realize that there's even a little bit of alcohol content in your blood, and they will sack you. You can't work with them, and because you are going to put people's life in danger, you will be fired. And which means that let's say if you go to work on Monday, you don't go on weekends. It means if you take alcohol on Friday, you have to make sure that by the Monday morning there's no alcohol in your system. There's no alcohol in your bloodstream, so that when they take your blood and go to lab or when they check, they will not find any alcohol in your bloodstream. So that's what we are talking about. Okay, it's not that in the mining they don't allow them to drink. You can drink, but make sure that there is no alcohol content in your bloodstream when you come to work. And so, however you are going to find to do that, that is it. But where the person drinks overnight, come in the morning, dangling like you are mentioning, I mean, then it's affecting the productivity and can take a decision as an employer. Lucas, are you still in to ask your question?
You said it all. Like I wanted to tell her that then that's the person's behavior because I know of a police that drinks and then it doesn't affect his work. He only drinks when he's home.
Mm. Yeah, there are people like that. I mean, there are managers, there are top managers, bankers, and co. They'll drink. You see their stomach like some of them. It is alcohol that is making them so. But it doesn't affect their work. At the workplace, you will never see that they drink. Some will tell you that they drink proper wine and they don't drink apetition. They drink proper wine, expensive wine. Right? Okay, so that is also there. Okay. So let's look at this. The other one is relationship with the of the employee to the firm. So we're seeing that the employee also have a relationship with the firm, just as the firm has to him. Employees also do. So it comes to conflict of interest. As an employee, at any point in time, you have to promote the interests of the company. However, there comes a time where the employee's interest and the company's interest are not on the same tangent. They are at opposite ends. What do you do? Okay. What do you do? Do you go on to satisfy your interests or you leave your interests and make sure that the organization interest is championed? So that comes in there and that brings conflict of interest. Okay. Yes. And that is an ethical issue. Do you do the right thing? What is the right thing here? The right thing here is to doing what is right, what the organization wants, not what you want. So it can come to employment. Do you employ someone uh, because the person is closer to you and is not qualified, or you employ the person who's qualified, or it comes to a supplier who do you do you solicit or get the contract to a supplier who do not fit than a supplier who fits? Okay. Do you give the contract to your wife or someone who is a close relative to you? Because of that relationship, you give it to him, denying someone who rather best qualifies. So this plays a role. These are the things that comes in when we are talking about conflict of interest. Okay, so for example, you look at what is given in the book, assuming the purchasing manager of first choice company accept a free holiday offer from a major computer supplier, the next time the company will need to purchase a new computer, the manager might feel obligated to offer the contract to that supplier. So if you have accepted an offer, a gift, whatsoever from a supplier, right? The next time the supplier now put in his bid, you are tempted to favor that supplier, even if that supplier is not going to be of optimal benefit to your organization. Okay, and that becomes conflicts of interest. And those of us in procurement supply chain will tell you you would have to recuse yourself from such process. Okay. Mm. So secrecy and espionage is also another thing. Okay, employees. So for instance, a worker of a computer software might have a lot of opportunity to sell vital information about new product to other firms. So as an employee, do you keep the vital information, the sensitive information, the confidential information of organizations to yourself, or you sell it to the organization's competitors to get money? You become what we call a spy, some sort of, or something like that. Do you do that? Okay. Do you do that? You owe the firm that, responsibility of keeping that secrecy. Even if you leave there to another firm, you owe them keeping that secrecy, right? Yes. But sometimes do you do that? Sometimes you owe the firm that. And but some people also argue that once you leave the firm, you live with that, and that one day, when any firm you go, you can use those ideas to help them develop. And I support that. Yes, if I have learned this from firm A and I move this from firm B, and I see that what they are doing is not helping, and they can do it better, because where I'm coming from, we do it better. We give suggestions and they take, fine. Then we are good to go. And it is there in the market, although it's not secrecy and espionage, but that is people are poaching. We call it poaching. There's some organizations that are poaching people, right? They go. You see it even in the media. You see it now, right? You see that very good presenter in one media station. By the time you realize he's going to another media station, right? Yes, mostly some of them are it is what we are talking about. They come in, they offer them a good deal. They offer them a good deal and it entices them and they go. Even in football, the guy who like football, it happens, right? Football, it happens. The player, they come and offer the player good deal or whatever, then they take the player. And the player who will be saying that this is my dream club. By the time you realize he has left that dream club to another club. Right? Money, because of money and all that. So honesty and expense account. So you also see that basic matters such as preference and dishonesty. Okay, you do that. You are in the stores department. And always, every day you go home, you are taking small things. You are taking those small things. Is it ethical? It's not ethical, right? It's not ethical. Imagine every day you are taking a pen for your children at home, or you are taking an exercise book, or you are taking this, you are taking that. By the time you realize you have taken a lot from the company, you have taken a lot from the company, which is not ethical practice. Which is not ethical. So all these ones also you owe to the firm not to take those things and all that, or use even the firm's resources for your personal, activities, personal work. You can see a driver who will be using the company's car for his personal things, right? Consuming the fuel and all that. All these are unethical behaviors. All right, we have 2 more minutes. Yeah, we have 2 more minutes. I think, yeah, let's quickly look through this and go. Do you have a lesson after this, please? Do you have a lesson after this?
No, sir.
No, sir.
No,
Let's
sir.
finish this session. Let's finish this session. Then we see either we meet tomorrow or, okay, we have to meet because I think quiz 1 is from unit 1 to unit 3. So let's finish the session. When we meet tomorrow, you write a quiz before we meet for unit 4, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So when we do that, tomorrow when we meet within the hour, we can finish that and quickly, if you have any question in all the things you've done, you can ask. Okay. That will be tomorrow, God willing. So let's look at that. Let's look at the last aspect, relationship of employee to the firm. Okay, look at that. So relationship of firm and environment. So the firm also owes some responsibilities to them, ethical responsibilities. So let's look at this. To the customers, the firm owns that. So the firm has to deal with the customers in a way that is what ethical. In pricing of the product, do you price it a way that you want to, get more from the customers as opposed to selling it at a price that they can have, many can afford? Is the product safe to the customers, or you have, I mean, done it such that you get more from the customers by using substandard products, substandard materials in the product? Okay. Mm. What should we say when we advertise? Do you tell customers what will entice them to the product? Meanwhile, when they go and buy the product, they don't get those benefits that you mentioned or you said when you were advertising it. Sometimes when you hear some advertisement, it's like the product will take you to heaven. But when you go and take it, the product will even the better place on earth, the product will not even take you to, right? And that is a major concern that you need to look at it. Firms need to look at that. Then we have competitors. Competitors too. Yes, firms need to be ethical. The mere fact that you are in competition with someone does not mean you need to be unethical. Okay, so if you are a big firm and because you have processes to cut down prices and be able to cut down, it doesn't mean that you sell your products in the market at a very cheap prices that smaller competitors or smaller firms cannot meet that, and hence you take them out of the market. That is unethical behavior of a firm. That is unethical behavior that firms must not do. Okay, firms must not do. Again, another thing is stockholders or shareholders. Firms also owe responsibility to this group. Okay, so say managers must work in the best interest of stakeholders and to provide them with timely and appropriate information. They would have to do that. It's ethical. You don't hide things from them. They have given their money, invested in the business, so you can't hide certain things from them. Okay. Then suppliers and dealers as well. Okay, suppliers and dealers. So you see that there are also potential ethical dilemmas in circumstances when large firms have substantial power over their suppliers and dealers. Yeah, in some cases, like we said, in markets where like a huge multinational firms and all that, or in an environment where you have many suppliers, few buyers. Okay, it means that the buyers will now have what more power, more power in dealing with supply. If you have so many suppliers and few buyers, or even there are some points where the buyer is a huge organization and you the supplier, you are now coming. You are just a small firm. Do you use your muscle, your big muscles to overshadow them? You don't. So for instance, if Unilever does not properly inform its dealers about internal product changes and price adjustment, the dealers could become offended. Too much information, however, might leak into the hands of competitors. Again, you say too much information, however. So it means that sometimes, like this multinational firm, they have distributors, they have dealers and all that. Okay. Yes, they need to communicate with them, but you need to also know what to communicate and how much you have to communicate with them. Because too much of it can also lead to another thing. Okay, then unions. Unions to organizations have what do you call it? Need to behave with them. As we say, firms need to have that ethical responsibility to them. They need to provide them with certain information on all that, but sometimes they don't have to disclose too much to them. Okay, if they disclose too much to them, it becomes a problem. So, for example, if you disclose too much profit to them, it means that they are going to fight for more salary. They are going to fight for more salary, demand higher salary. Then the community too, there's that ethical obligation. There's that ethical obligations. So the relation with the community are obviously crucial. See, issues of particular interest like pollution, other environmental impacts are of interest to the community. And hence they would want to see the firm do things that are of interest of the community. Okay. Yeah. So that this also brings us to the end of this session, session 5. We are left with one more session, session 6, managing ethics. We can do that tomorrow 9:30. Okay. And we use that time for tomorrow to also look through the other sessions that we've done. If there are anything you do not understand, you ask, then we clarify before you go into your first quiz. All right. So if you have any question now, because time is gone, you can reserve it. But if it's just short too, you can just ask it and write it down. And tomorrow, or when you meet, you can also ask. Any question you have in Unit 1 to Unit 3, you can also put it down. We'll go back, look at it. I hope I'm clear.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So can we end for today?
Yes, sir.
All right. Thank you very much for your time. And see you tomorrow.